So as I'm recording this video now, I literally just came off finishing The Outer Worlds 2 after about 40 hours into the game. And I have thoughts, I have things to say about the game. And I really think as a game, The Outer Worlds 2 is everything I wanted from The Outer Worlds 1, but better. I'm talking about better graphics with an asterisk, better combats, better storytelling, better world design, better companions, not better than maybe a Vicar Max or a Pavati, but competent companions for the most part. All in all, just the atmosphere and the vibe you get from playing The Outer Worlds 2. So, someone like me never played Fallout New Vegas, so I'm not entirely sure where I'll put Outer Worlds 2 in terms of its RPG mechanics, but in terms of all the RPGs I have played this year, it is one of the RPGs that really tells you how much goes into the choices you make and the decisions you make. In Outer Worlds 2, literally every single thing you do has an impact on the world. It has an impact on the world building, it has an impact on the lore, it has an impact on your associations with certain different factions. Even though some of the factions are more fleshed out than the others, looking at something like an Auntie's Choice and an Order. Me personally, I was more or less more Order than Auntie's Choice, but to be fair, I was good with everyone. Sub Rosa was very subpar to begin with because there wasn't a lot of things to flesh out. It's very clear that there's a lot of room left in this game for when the DLC does come out to actually take place into some of these unexplored storytelling plots that I'm really looking forward to seeing with The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds 2 is a great game to play. It's a good RPG. I would even say it's a great RPG. It's not the best RPG I've ever played. It's not a phenomenal RPG, like maybe something like a Baldur's Gate 3, but it is competent in every shape or form. It is incredible, and I do think a lot of people will enjoy this game. Now, with that being said, if you're someone who's coming from The Outer Worlds 1 and didn't really vibe with The Outer Worlds 1, I'm going to find it very hard to recommend this game to you because I don't think this game really changes its tone from where we go from The Outer Worlds 1. Instead, it ramps up its own in everything, in its parody of capitalism and socialism and fascism, in its storytelling, in the way it tells different plot points when it comes to like narratives and stuff like that. So if you're not into The Outer Worlds once we get into in the first place, I do think it's an easy skip for you guys as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Men and women of culture, welcome back, your boy Senzu, back again, back on another video. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, welcome back, kings and queens. Now, we're going to be talking about The Outer Worlds 2, what I think about the game, certain noteworthy things I think we should talk about and discuss. And without further ado, let's hop into the video. Starting off with the very first thing, which is the negatives. As someone who plays on PC predominantly, especially when it comes to like Xbox games, the performance on PC was all over the place. So there were multiple points in time where I was able to get above 60 FPS in certain scenarios, but when you get to certain worlds, it completely crashed into the 40s, which doesn't usually happen for me. And I wanted to say it was a UE5 problem, but seeing the news I'm hearing from a game like Ark, just certain games of that nature which are made in UE5, it's more or less a case of the painter and not the tool being the problem, if you catch my drift. And I do understand that a lot of companies don't have the same technical chops that other companies do when it comes to utilizing the UE engine for making their games. But with that being said, I do have to say that this game probably isn't the best to play on PC. You're probably better off playing the game on the on the Xbox, skipping the PlayStation and waiting for a better patch or performance patch to come in with the PC. But nevertheless, I was still able to play the game to the end. I was still able to finish the game. So there isn't much to complain about apart from the fact that, yeah, I just wish performance was way better than we got, but it is what it is. Now, let's go to the very fun part of the game, which is very surprising coming from an RPG built on the Outer Worlds engine and built on what the Outer Worlds represents, which is something very akin to like a Fallout New Vegas, is the combat. The combat in this game is incredible. Now, it doesn't still make sense why the design choice of the devs was to take out the dodge mechanics in this game, because I felt the dodge mechanics in the last one was well warranted, and I felt in this game would have just made you subpar, just made you incredible as a character to begin with. So my character build was very straightforward. I went completely with guns. I didn't do anything that had to do with hacking. I didn't do anything to do with explosives. My character was fundamentally built on guns, talking, leadership, and a bit of observation as well. So very keen, and also was a professor, which honestly speaking is probably one of the most broken backgrounds you should get. If you're going to play this game at all, try the professor, it's incredible. But speaking of the combats, the guns in this game are incredible. The grenades, computer AI is still computer AI when it comes to like most RPGs and stuff like that. So that doesn't really change. But in terms of the day-to-day gameplay mechanics of just shooting or just hitting people, it's clear that what I felt when coming from Avowed, which I felt could have been a better game, even though the combat in Avowed was a bit of a hit and miss, I felt this game was just way better in terms of what it offered. I'm talking about the gunplay, I'm talking about the gun mechanics, the sounds, the science weapons. And funnily enough, just because of how my build was, I rarely used science weapons apart from till the very end of the game, which I didn't really need to use a science weapon. I could have just done so. I could have really finished the game with the plasma pistol and I've been good to go. But honestly speaking, the combat, the build crafting, the RPG mechanics of this game are up there with what I would say the greater. I would say the RPG mechanics of the Outer Worlds 2 is in the greater than the rest echelon of games. It's not fantastic, it's not phenomenal, I would say it's way better than good. I would say it's great in terms of that aspect. Now, the Outer Worlds weakest parts in terms of part 1, and wasn't even its weakest parts. I did enjoy the story of the Outer Worlds 1. The Outer Worlds 2 takes a step back from that story as well. The overall main narrative of the game isn't the drawing force of why you play this game, which is unfortunate because I felt like Obsidian's chops when it comes to storytelling has been superb, apart from, you know, the Avowed, which we all know how that ended up being. But in terms of like an RPG game, especially a Western RPG game, I felt that I was going to get a better story and main plot from the Outer Worlds 2. But honestly, I didn't get that. I didn't really care for the story. What I cared more about had more to do with the interaction with the NPCs and just the world in general. You see, the Outer Worlds 2 still follows the same principles of having the floor mechanics. Floors are essentially gifts given to you by the AI within the game that, you know, hey, I noticed that you're doing this. I noticed that you sneak a lot. So, hey, I'm going to give you extra movement when you sneak. But however, every time you move out from sneak, you alert everyone else in the room. Things like that. And I think the floor mechanics in this game were way better primed and way better placed than what we had in the Outer Worlds 1, which is a good thing. And I also think that just the dynamic interaction you have with the world felt like a world that was lived in, especially like the very first few planets you go to. I'm talking about Paradise, and I think the next planet wasn't Cloister, wasn't Praetor. I can't remember what the next world was, but essentially the first two worlds you do visit in this game are superb, are incredible, honestly. The later half of the game, the worlds are okay, but you can clearly tell that there was more to be done with this world in terms of story mechanics, those stories, side quests, and just companion quests in general. And even speaking of companions, I will say the companions in this game are better than what we got in Outer Worlds 1, but are not up to par with what we got with a character like Pavati or a character like Vicar Max. Obviously, my best character has to be Inez, which is the anti-choice typical character until she goes through this character development that becomes incredible. Another character with Marisol, even though her character arc wasn't the strongest, as a character I preferred her to my third option, which is going to be Niles. And obviously you do still have some one-line characters, which is just so one-sided that doesn't really add anything to the game, or they don't really do much for the game to begin in the first place. But in terms of just what this game had to offer from a companion standpoint, incredible companions for the most part. Great companion for the most part. So all in all, where do I put with the Outer Worlds 2? For people who haven't played the Outer Worlds 1, I do recommend you play the Outer Worlds 1. If you don't like that game, I do think it's easy for you to skip this game, because I don't think this game is going to win you over if you didn't like the previous one. Now, if you loved the previous one, this is an easy, I'm pretty sure you've already played this game and you're just watching this video to just see what my takes are on this game, what I feel about this game, and certain things like that. And now for people who are unsure about the Outer Worlds 1, the only selling point I can give you is, if you enjoyed Fallout New Vegas, if you enjoyed the day-to-day mechanics of the RPG system within Fallout New Vegas, the build crafting of Fallout New Vegas with a better combat gameplay, I would say Outer Worlds 2 is a good game to jump into. And you don't really need to play Outer Worlds 1 to enjoy Outer Worlds 2, as this is set years in the future from Outer Worlds 1, which is helpful. But nevertheless, that's my review of Outer Worlds 2. It's a great game. I would say it's not an excellent game. It's a very good, borderline great game that I think I can recommend to people. I would say wait for a sale, because I think $70 or 60 quid for this game is probably too much. But nevertheless, it's a good game that I do think people should play and people should try. So what do you think about the video? What do you think about Outer Worlds 2? Leave in the comment section down below what your favorite parts of the game is. What don't you like about the game? What do you love about this game? I would love to hear from you guys as well. Thank you guys for watching the video. I do hope to hear from you soon, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Stay sexy, stay active. Love you all. Peace.